speak tonight, we'd like you to sign in at the sign-in sheet here at the podium. Yes.
Sweet.
Okay, thank you for coming tonight. This is Citizens Corner. I'm Councilman Robert Hodge, and to my left is Councilman Alan McCarthy. Alan is a relatively new council person. He's been on the job for, I think, 3 weeks. I was previously a county commissioner for 4 years and now a councilman. Citizens Corner is for anyone to come in and ask us questions or make statements or make comments or do anything you want, as long as you keep it respectful and civil. And so the intention is to make this interactive so that we have commissioners or council members answering questions and expressing viewpoints, and actually gives us the opportunity to ask questions also, as well as the citizenry. During our normal public hearings and our public meetings that the citizens do have, I would encourage you to use this time to public comment. You'll have 5 minutes to speak your mind about anything that you would like to speak to us during our public meetings, but you should not expect any feedback from the council members during that time period. So this is your chance to ask questions and get some interaction. All the council members have been invited. We do have a vacancy on our council, so we only have 4 total members. One of our members was elected to the executive position, so we only have 4 council members currently. They were all encouraged to come. I can't speak for the others whether they'll be here or not, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So Billy Kalin, you're first on the list. If you'd like to come up and talk to us.
On the corner of Peppermint Drive, which has where there's a retention pond for the Cecil County Fire Department. It has a dry hydrant on it, but recently the overflow pipe rusted out and collapsed, draining the whole entire pond. So if there was to be a fire and they ran out of water, that would be their only water source, and they don't have any water there anymore, so it's all drained out.
Out of the retention pond?
Yes.
And are you reporting it to us for the first time, or have you talked to the Department of Public Works?
We called Department of Public Works once, and we went to the fire department, and but we're not sure if this is the right place to ask the question about it, because it's been drained for about a year now.
Okay. Do you know who owns the retention pond?
No, we do not. I know the county takes care of the roads.
Many retention ponds are owned by homeowners associations, and most retention ponds are supposed to be maintained by the homeowners association. But the Department of Public Works knows who owns what, and they would be able to answer the questions and get the ball rolling on what needs to be done and who needs to do it. So I have what town?
Our mailing address is Port Deposit. It's Greenfield Acres.
Do you want to write your phone number down here so we can contact you?
Sure.
Sure.
My phone number.
Anyway, we'll have someone contact you, come out, look at this, and make a determination on who needs to do what.
As far as I know, we don't have a homeowners association. We don't have any.
Well, it is a dilemma because homeowners associations are supposed to exist. They're supposed to exist, but many of them have gone out of business or defunct, they're not even around, so it is an issue. But off to the side, the county has been doing a survey of all retention ponds and stormwater management facilities and contacting the homeowners associations because many of them are in a state of disrepair and need work.
Yeah.
It is an initiative of our watershed implementation plan to get our our stormwater management facilities back up to original engineered design standards.
It's completely empty and it's actually overgrown now, so.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming and reporting this to us, and we'll have someone touch base with you. Is there any, yes. Who else signed up? Joe?
Joe, all right, thanks. I haven't signed up, but I'll.
Okay,
alreasin 632 Colorado Road, Colorado. Could you update us on where we're at with the Rural Coalition, TMDL, the possible lawsuit? I know as of this morning, it was identified or told that the executive has sent in map number 10 to the state, indicating basically tier 4 areas, which only includes those already in preservation and government-owned lands. But could you bring us up to date on the rest of it, please?
well, I'll tell you what I know. The Rural Coalition was more of an entity to watch out for what's going on down in Annapolis as far as new legislation and to lobby and support our interest in, during the past General Assembly and the future ones. The TMDL Coalition, first off, there is a meeting tomorrow down in Baltimore with MDE it's a forum for us to have some interaction, and I did invite Chip McLeod from Pumpkin Bolton to go and listen to what is going to happen tomorrow. I'm sure that there's going to be some interaction here, and there's going to be some comments on why we have been unhappy about the process so far. The TMDL Coalition is also going to meet, I think it's January 2nd, right before the Maryland Association of County meetings down in Cambridge. Was that on the 2nd or the 3rd? Second. Okay. So the very first really initial meeting of the TMDL Coalition will be right before the MACO meeting in Cambridge. If you're not aware of it, the MACO, the Maryland Association of Counties, has a conference in the winter and the fall, or the winter and the summer. And we get together, elected officials, to discuss common problems and challenges and work together. They also have a trade show, and we try to learn more about how we can work to serve the issues that face us. I haven't seen an agenda. This is recently set up, so I haven't seen the agenda yet. But I have to tell you right now, each and every county has been on their own as far as the tier maps. I think they're all over the place as far as what they're submitting. Some may not even submit a map, or we're not sure yet. Many of them are waiting to the very last minute. I talked to Richard Rothschild from Carroll County this morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they're still debating it, and they're having some closed door sessions with their attorney. So there's no one theme going on here. Everyone's on their own still. I will say this: you said lawsuit. That isn't really necessarily so. I don't know anybody on either one of these coalitions that has lawsuit as a goal or an objective. No one has threatened a lawsuit yet. We want to work with Maryland Department of Planning and Environment and the governor and others to get more clarification, more justification of what even though the lawsuit is not off the table, I don't think that it's something that we, the county, Cecil County, Robert Hodge, or others want to move forward with that. That's not the direction we want to go in. Alan, do you have anything to add?
No, that's fine, you don't have to job.
Anything else on that issue, Alan?
Well, the one thing, my voice is loud enough. Tier 2 is on our comprehensive plan of growth area. However, if you look at Plan Maryland, we are not allowed to develop effectively, or at least the original one, between the towns. We're limited to development within the areas that are already developed. So in other words, we can't go down, according to Plan Maryland anyway, northeast to Elkton. So that is sort of up in the air. You've got an executive order versus a bill. Has there been any discussions on that, on how to resolve that issue?
No. I think there's one step at a time. I think there'll probably be some discussion tomorrow at Maryland Department of Planning's office in Baltimore. I know there's a representative from the planning staff that's going to be there, and we're going to be asking a lot of questions. Now, I have to tell you, the Senate Bill 236 bill, the tier mapping is just a tip of the iceberg on the problems with that bill. There are many, many other components to that bill that are going to be detrimental to growth in rural areas, or really growth anywhere, unless there is existing public wastewater services provided. And we know that the regulation will become effective January 1st for all the BAT systems, the best available technology systems that are not currently served by public facilities. And that's going to add, approximately $15,000 per home anywhere you build these BAT systems. We've had this discussion before, and in my opinion, they're trying to make it so expensive in the rural areas that it'll drive you out of the country and into the city. The fact is that it also has an initiative in there that there'll be no net impact on environmental anything as far as any future subdivisions. And somehow, some way, developers are going to have to offset or prevent any impact on the environment, air, water, anything. And of course, the state believes that septics have a significant impact. So it's going to be hard for developers to offset septics on land in Cecil County. But the bill hopefully will be reconsidered in the next legislative session. Is there anyone else that would like to speak tonight? Well, it's going to be a long time before our next meeting.
Well, I would like to ask, Builder Freitas, 42 Clearview Court, Elkton. There's been a lot of discussion about decorum in meetings. And one of the things that I don't know about, maybe you can help me with, is does the county have written rules of what the public can do or not do in a public meeting? Because over the past 2 or 3 work sessions of the council, you have discussed using Robert's Rules of Order or some semblance of that to address what one of the councilwomen feels is problems from the public. Robert's Rules of Order doesn't cover the public. It covers decorum within a council, a board of directors, that type of thing. So unless there is rules, paperwork, whatever, that I'm not aware of or the public's not aware of, the council really doesn't have control over what we ask, who we ask, or how we ask it. Certainly, I would agree that there should be some public decorum and decency in what we do. But councilperson Dunn has already attacked the county executive 3 times as queen. Now that's against Robert's rules. So I guess my question at this point is there other written rules that as a public citizen I don't know about?
I'm not aware of any written regulations on decorum for the public that we have in Cecil County. Currently, it's always been up to the discretion of the presiding officer of the board to determine when someone is about to or has crossed the line, and basically the only thing I can say in Robert's Rules of Order is for how that presiding officer will address that. But there is no definition of when someone goes beyond what we have expected of them. And that's what Councilman Broomall is trying to put together, some type of written guidelines on what is appropriate and what isn't, I assume. And so she has been tasked by the other commissioners to put something together for our consideration. I have a real problem, personally I have a real problem with putting together regulations and restrictions on the public. Now, I do believe that they should be respectful and civil, but I can understand personally over the last couple of years how their frustration level can be very high. I can understand how they can be a little upset on some of the things that the Board of Commissioners did do, but I think that the presiding officer needs to do a better job of maintaining the decorum. And I do agree with you that I thought things were said today, and it was more than Mike Dunn. I think, you know, many of us probably said and did things that we probably shouldn't have done in public this morning. And so the decorum shouldn't just apply to the public, it should apply to the council members themselves.
Well, Robert's rules doesn't apply to the public.
Right, but as you know, and the public that wasn't here, hasn't been here, as you know, we don't have a presiding officer currently. We've decided to collectively, as a group, be the presiding officer, and you know, and I know that that doesn't work that well. And to rely on Vicki Rinkerman, our an assistant here, to try to maintain quorum is not really her job. And so at the end of the day, until we become a full board, I think we're going to have trouble maintaining that decorum amongst ourselves and with the public. And I hope that whoever is that presiding officer will, the first thing that they need to do is ask the public for respect and civility, and expect that rather than trying to manage it. It's somewhat laying it out. Now, I don't know what Commissioner Brumel is going to come up with as far as her guidelines, and maybe if they're reasonable, I may consider them, but I kind of doubt it, because I just think it's dangerous for the government, local, county, or whatever, to start putting restrictions on freedom of speech. I just prefer not to go there. Alan, do you have any thoughts?
I would concur with what he says. I mean, I would not like to restrict what people can say in this session, because you people are the ones that make this government happen. But I do think that people should be civil and respectful and direct their comments to the person they expect to answer the question, and also not be insightful in the manner by which they ask the questions. I'm not in favor of finger pointing and accusations. Thank you.
Anybody else have any other thoughts, comments, suggestions, questions, complaints?
Brandon Reason, 632 Conway Road. You have already discussed Mako multiple times today. My understanding is from the last meeting was that you had to have a representative for Mako by January. However, no one confirmed who that representative was. Since we have no more meetings until January, how are we gonna get a representative for Mako? And since we have to have a representative by January, how are we gonna be able to propose one by that time period? And can we propose one afterwards?
You're referring to Mako's request to have representatives on the legislative committee.
Yes.
And we all belong to Mako. We will all be part of Mako. We will all, I don't know who's attending Mako. I am, and I think Alan is, and I can't speak for the others, but the legislative committee is a separate committee from the general body that develops positions on legislation that's going on down in Annapolis. And they evaluate all of the bills to determine which bills would have an impact on counties in particular. The Mako is, to some level, a special interest group that want to make sure that the legislation that's passed in Annapolis doesn't affect the county government and the citizens within our borders. So representatives are selected from each county to sit on that committee, and one person per county, so that they can vote on whether they want to take a position or not take a position. And if they decide to take a position, are they going to support it, oppose it, or support it with amendments, or oppose it with amendments, whatever. At the end of the day, as you know, we determined at one of our first meetings that since we were vacant, or we had a vacant position in amongst our council, that we decided to postpone determining those board and commission memberships until we had all 5 of us to divvy that up. And so the good news is that there, as far as I know, there's been very few bills pre-filed in Annapolis. The General Assembly won't be meeting until the 8th or the 9th of January. And quite frankly, for the first couple months, no, that's not true. The first couple of weeks, they don't really get much done down there. And so I feel that we can wait till the first week or two in January to fill that vacancy on the legislative committee at Mako and not lose an opportunity.
So you're basically saying that it won't be a problem, we can do it later?
Yes. No, we're definitely going to do it later as soon as we have the 5th member of our council participating.
My understanding was that we couldn't do it later because we had to send in the suggestion before January.
No, they would prefer to have the makeup of their committee as soon as possible. But they'll live with us providing a name later. And quite frankly, it may be 2 names, and we may split the representation of Cecil County with 2 names. One would be, half a vote would be the executive and half a vote could be the council. That's one of the possibilities.
We're also supposed to have an alternate.
I'm sorry?
We're also supposed to have an alternate for...
Yes, and the alternate would replace one of the council member that would, if for any reason a council member could not participate in the discussion of that legislative committee, then an alternate would attend, yes.
I just wanted to make sure there was nothing that was going to hinder us from being represented at Mako.
No, it's an important position, and I think that we have plenty of time to get it right.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to ask questions, comments, complaints, or suggestions? All right, then we're going to adjourn the Citizens Corner, and we're going to get ready for our 7 o'clock meeting. And I guess there's agendas up on the podium for tonight. Okay. thank you all for coming, appreciate your participation, and we'll talk to you, actually, our first meeting is the third Tuesday in January. No, January 8th is our work session.